Hi, I'm Sophie and I'm currently President at Queen Mary Students' Union in London. I spent a year before that working as Vice President Education and Welfare, and I'm now standing to be your NUS Vice President Higher Education.
I'm choosing Sophie because she doesn't just talk the rhetoric on stage. We've seen that she's out there in the community, she's initiating and leading projects that give young people their aspiration and their hope back.
I'm choosing Sophie because she's a credible and consistent candidate. For the past 2 years on Higher Education Committee, she's been travelling up and down the country, making the student case to the higher education decision makers. And I know that if she's elected, she'll be able to hit the ground running.
I'm choosing Sophie because she's got incredible amounts of experience with higher education. Not only was she a cause rep throughout her time on a degree, she became an education staff for her students' union. And not only the staff within her own students' union, she's done great amounts of national work as well with the Quality Assurance Agency, and she's been on the NUS Higher Education Zone Committee for 2 years now.
What's really impressed me the most about Sophie is that when we've had discussions and debates at the Higher Education Zone Committee, she's actually gone back to the student unions and discussed the issues with them, and actually then brought it back towards that committee level and said, actually, look, the direction we're going is not the right direction and this is actually what we need to do, and then presenting the feedback back to us to make sure that we're doing what our membership needs and what our membership wants.
The thing I like about Sophie is that she's such an approachable person, and I know in the past when we necessarily haven't seen eye to eye, I know for a fact that I can say whatever I want to her face and she's there to listen and actually take my opinions on board.
I want to see NUS push forward with serious solutions around postgraduate access and funding. I trust Sophie to do that, she's got the experience.
Now that the reformation of the admission system isn't going ahead by UCAS, we really need to make sure that NUS is setting the agenda in terms of admissions, making sure that it's fair, accessible and transparent.
I think Sophie's policy on induction and retention is an absolute priority that NUS needs to focus on.
What's great about Sophie's work when it comes to access is not just focusing on local schools, which is really important, but also focusing on the disadvantaged communities and the parents and work in terms of outreach work to parents to ensure that aspirations and ambitions is not just for young people, but for the community at large.
Sophie's been in the same shoes as thousands of course reps around the UK. She knows the challenges of campaigning for change at a grassroots level.
Widening participation and access isn't just about getting students into university and higher education, but also about supporting them once they get there. And NUS needs to lead the way in terms of providing that support to students' unions to set the agenda locally. I'm the person to do that.
Sophie's manifesto is solid and her policies are excellent, but regardless, she's the only candidate in this election who's got a track record of winning for students in higher education. That's why I'm choosing Sophie.
I've been incredibly impressed in terms of how principled Sophie is. She's not scared to challenge me, she's not scared to actually hold me to account, which is exactly what they should be doing as elected members on the Zone Committee.
Sophie's always willing to listen to everyone's opinion, and that's why she'll be an amazing leader as Vice President Higher Education for NUS.
I'm an education officer myself. I've got absolute confidence that if she's elected, she'll be able to hit the ground running and do a tremendous job.
At National Conference this year, you've got a choice. You can choose the candidate with experience, you can choose the candidate who's worked as an education officer, a president, and also tirelessly as part of the HE Zone Committee at NUS. And you can choose the candidate who is willing to take forward all areas of the student life cycle and focus on the big issues, not just the quick wins. You can choose Sophie.